Good evening. For Poland Daily News, I'm Phil Goss. Today marks the 78th anniversary of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, the most significant uprising of the Jewish population during World War II, where brave Warsaw insurgents chose to fight to the bitter end for their honor rather than submit to the gas chambers. The Polish presidential couple took part in the commemoration, where President Andrzej Duda gave a heartfelt speech in memory of the fallen.
Punctually at noon in Warsaw, sirens were heard commemorating the insurgents from the Warsaw Ghetto. The main commemoration event of the 78th anniversary of the outbreak of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising were held at the monument to the Ghetto Heroes in Muranów. In 1939, German authorities began to concentrate Poland's population of over 3 million Jews into a number of extremely crowded ghettos located in large Polish cities. The largest of these, the Warsaw Ghetto, collected approximately 300 to 400,000 people into a densely packed 3.3 square kilometer area of central Warsaw. Thousands died of disease and the harsh conditions before deportation to concentration camps. By the end of 1942, ghetto inhabitants realized that the deportation was part of an extermination process and began to organize an armed insurgency. Finally, 78 years ago today, the freedom fighters of the Warsaw Ghetto took up arms and launched their first armed resistance. Hundreds of people in the Warsaw Ghetto were ready to fight. Adults and children, sparsely armed with handguns, Molotov cocktails, and a few other weapons that resistance fighters had smuggled into the ghetto. Most of the combatants did not view their actions as an effective measure by which to save themselves, but rather as a battle for their honor and as a protest against the world's silence. An estimated 56,000 Jews died in the uprising or were captured and transported to camps such as Treblinka. President Andrzej Duda praised the bravery of the fighters. They had no right to surrender. They fought to the end. They couldn't give up. They could not count on being treated as prisoners of war. They were not covered by any international conventions protecting prisoners. They knew that any surrender to the Germans would mean death. They did not agree to die in extermination camps or in gas chambers. They chose to die, guns in hand. For years, yellow daffodils have been a symbol of the memory of the Ghetto Heroes. Every year, Marek Edelman, the last living commander of the uprising in the ghetto, lay a bunch of these flowers. As time passes, eyewitnesses are fewer and fewer. Marian Calwary was 13 years old then and was able to escape. The sight itself was terrifying. These children starving to death in the streets, dead bodies lying in the streets, and this crowd of people crying for mercy.
I ten tłum ludzi wołających o litość.
The Polish Ministry of Health released data regarding yesterday's coronavirus infection rates. 7,283 new infections were recorded, a number decisively lower than trends had been over the past few weeks, showing that the infection rate is slowing down. The government intends to accelerate nationwide vaccinations. Starting on May 10th, anyone can register to receive a vaccination.
2,700,000 SARS-CoV-2 infections have been recorded so far, with 62,133 deaths recorded. Sunday, there were 7,283 new cases and 101 additional casualties. Both numbers indicate that the third wave of the pandemics is in decline. Almost 8,900,000 vaccinations have already been carried out in Poland. First doses having been administered to nearly 6,600,000 people, with second doses reaching over 2,290,000. During the previous 24-hour period ending at midnight on Sunday, April 18th, 34,540 vaccines were administered.
Despite 11 years having passed since the Smolensk disaster of April 10, 2010, the deaths of 96 people, including the President of Poland, are still not fully explained.
Poles who are known for their respect to the deceased are enraged by pictures of a smiling Minister of Health, Eva Kopacz, posing with the Moscow morgue employees while corpses of the victims lay in plastic bags. It is another trespass by the civic platform high-level politician. The picture shows cynicism and political mischief. When cameras are rolling, these people act compassionate and remorseful, yet when they think nobody is watching, they do just the opposite. This is another case when a top-notch civic platform politician showed a low level of humanity. These people focus solely on their own interests.
To zwykłego człowieczeństwa, także to są ludzie odhumanizowani.
After the tragic murder of Polish citizen Jakub Marchewka in Chicago on Easter Sunday, a march was held this past Sunday to raise awareness of the spike in violent crime in the city in recent times.
28-year-old Pole Jakub Marchewka was shot in the parking lot in broad daylight on Easter Sunday over a dispute involving a car door. He died after being rushed to the hospital. The culprit remains at large. The event sparked panic throughout the already crime-ridden city where, since the beginning of this year, have been 860 injuries due to gunshots. A march was conducted to highlight the increasingly problematic situation of the violent, crime-ridden city, with many people participating in the march starting at the crime scene. The march attracted attention on an international level and brought light to the conditions that plague Chicago, affecting not only the Poles, but all other residents too.
The Czech Republic expelled 18 Russian embassy staff over a 2014 explosion. Prague has accused Russian intelligence of being involved in the 2014 blast at a military ammunition warehouse. In a retaliatory move, Moscow expelled 20 Czechs. They were told to leave Russia by the end of the day on April 19th. Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny was transferred to a prison hospital as concerns grow among his supporters that he is dangerously ill and could die at any minute. Navalny's transfer came after his doctors warned over the weekend that the Kremlin critic risks a heart attack or kidney failure. Earlier, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said that there would be consequences if Mr. Navalny dies, and that Russia would be held accountable by the international community. For Poland Daily News, I'm Phil Goss. Good night.